Hi, my name is Alina Grant-Jones, and I brought my son Jonty along to see Nolene in February 2009. I first heard her speaking on the radio about sound therapy and what she could do with children with ADD and ADHD. I was very interested and made an appointment and took him along. The sound test was really interesting, and she took a lot of details about Jonty, and then I went back for her to tell me about the assessment, which was really interesting. Shortly after that we started the first program, the low frequency program, which was 15 sessions. They went really well. It was really nice to spend that time 2 hours at a time with Jonty, and we had a really good experience doing that. The first things that I noticed with Jonty after about 2 weeks, he started to listen to everything that I said, which was quite amazing, because he is a child, or was a child, that had ADD and had some real issues around listening and following instructions. And then all of a sudden he was doing what my husband and I asked, which was incredible. So we carried on and we finished that program, and then we went to the second program, which was 20 sessions long, and still had a great time with that. And the effects of that, everything seemed to come together for Jonty, because he was a child that couldn't ride a bike. He'd sit on a bike and just fall off, or pick up a pencil and drop it half a dozen times. He had no control, he had no strength in his hands. And all of that seemed to change, and he's able to ride his bike, catch a ball, run like any normal child, because he looked very odd when he ran, like a toddler almost.
Did it seem like his willingness to do and try things had changed?
Yeah, completely. He was a child that was racked with fear. Wouldn't, when he'd get on his bike and fall off, he just didn't want to get onto the bike again. It took lots and lots of, more than you would normally do for a child to get him back on the bike. But he was, really more willing to do things than he'd ever done before. Very confident.
Had there been emotional issues that had sparked off the symptoms?
Yes, from probably about 4 months until he was born, it was very traumatic, very hard for me. Even though the pregnancy itself was I was very healthy and I ate really well. Jonty's birth was a bit tricky as well. He was very overdue, and required a lot of intervention, and I ended up ended up being a caesarean birth. Once he was born and I was away from all of that trauma, life got better for him and I. Wasn't until he was about 5 that these issues started coming about, because he was my first child, so I didn't know that there was anything really wrong. And he's a very delightful kid. He's very chatty and funny, and
After the sound therapy, did he cope better with the emotional issues?
Yes. Not he wouldn't melt down like he did before. If we ever directed him to do something that he didn't really want to do, it was a massive tantrum, and he would get through it, but there was always this. It was always over the top, and since doing the sound therapy, that was reduced hugely. One thing that I noticed a lot, and I still notice it today, all these months later, Jonty had a really hard time leaving anybody's house. It was probably the biggest problem that we had with him. He would just create such an enormous scene when we left anywhere. And since the sound therapy, it's not an issue. I just give him a little bit of warning that we're going, and when we go, he puts his shoes on and he's away. No drama at all.
While you're doing the program, you're watching your child shifting through different experiences all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them positive.
Yes.
In your mind.
Yes.
but positive at the end of the day because the child needs to experience that in some way.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about what you watched him go through?
Yeah, for Jonty, he's not a really, really naughty child, so the things that were coming up for him, it was different to the usual behaviour. I could separate the two, and Nolene's been available to answer all of my questions, so that's been a great help for me. When a couple of occasions where I thought, oh my God, is this what's supposed to be happening? I've contacted Nolene and she's talked me through it. Also, my extended family have noticed a change in Jonty, and I've told them about what things to expect, and they've just, been very patient around him. And his teacher as well at school, she was very interested in the whole sound therapy process, so she came along to one of Nolene's talks, and she just kept him busy in the class when he was feeling the need to be emotional. And I'm not talking over the top, it was just a little bit more than the average. She just supported him through that. And we've used homeopathy as well. It's been a real team effort.
While he was at school, was he able to finish tasks more easily?
Yes, he was. Jonty, like I said before, has grown up in a Montessori system where there's plenty of time and space to be able to do your work. And he had a bit of a habit of starting things and not finishing, but yeah, he's definitely completed several big projects in the last year, which is great, really fantastic.